Hello, everyone. This is Belinda Carr, and you're listening to my podcast on building science, products, and technology. As we know, the construction industry is ripe for disruption and automation. It has been reliant on manual labor and outdated tech for far too long, which has led to lagging productivity. Every week, I chat with a company that is exploring ways to tackle these issues. Today, I'm speaking with Brian Iverson, inventor of the Tstud and CEO of US Engineered Wood. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Thank you, but I got to tell you, I have since retired. I'm not the CEO anymore.
Oh,
okay.
Is this news?
So you go through life, and you own a company. You're the president. You chief cook, bottle washer. You do it all. But I never went to school to be a CEO, let's say, or a CFO or a chief operating officer. And so once all the companies got to be too big, I just went to the CFO and I said, "You've never held this title either." I said, "So I'll tell you what, I'm going to retire, quote unquote, retire." I said, "I will become the chief product officer and I will do 101 ways to date the Tstud. I will do whatever it takes to get the Tstud into as many hands as humanly possible, and I will be the character." But I said, I can't do the everyday challenges of running a manufacturing plant. So I gave up the title of CEO, and now I'm the chief product officer of US Engineered Wood.
Are you enjoying that role more?
There is a crap load less stress, right? every day I get up and I don't know who's going to call. It's been really fun.
That seems to fit your personality, because we've talked just once before, but you seem to be this like an inventor. You love inventing. You love problem solving, and that product role seems to fit you much better than maybe a CEO role does.
Well, I've closed a few thousand real estate transactions in my day. I've designed 750 structures that have been built. So I love the challenge. I love the art of the deal. And so now doing the business development side, it's a lot less stressful. It's a whole lot more fun. And depending upon who calls me, I don't have to sell the Tstud. The Tstud sells itself. So it's like, so the dynamics of the call change in that I get to help you solve bring your solution, right?
Yeah.
So when the government announced that they're going to bring the energy efficiency rebates back, right? We've had a company reach out, and we're going to help them along. There will be other ones that'll want to get help along as well, because you can't get there without the Tstud. So we're just open for business, and we're ready to go have fun.
Okay, so let's dive into this, because your brain is full of ideas, full of inventions. You're inventing something new every day, it seems. But let's focus on the Tstud. I made a video on it a little while back, dived into the specifics of it. But let's talk about the story behind it. How did you get from your real estate background to this?
Okay.
Did you identify the problem with thermal bridging during your real estate journey, and that really intrigued you? So you wanted to come up with a product that solves that problem?
Okay, we got to go back. We got to go back farther yet. Okay, so I have always been a fan of Teddy Roosevelt. Okay, Teddy Roosevelt, one of our presidents. Set aside all the natural resources, right? All of our national parks and those kinds of things, right? He Rough Riders, rode a horse, did everything, and I've always been intrigued by that. And so in the 60s and 70s, we had a deal going on, Keep America Beautiful, and I got to watch people throw out their. They'd go to the fast food restaurant. They'd eat the food in the car. They'd put all the stuff back in the bag and they'd chuck it out the window. And I was so mad. My dad was furious. So I am a prodigy of my parents. Okay. So my dad would literally stop on the side of the road and he'd pick up that doggone garbage and he'd throw it in the car. And then he'd try to chase those people down. Like, we never even had seatbelts. Oh yeah, my dad was pretty fun to watch. Anyway, so So since then, I got involved with the conservation group. I started so I've always been a conservationist. I've always been an ecologist. Okay, that is my hat. Okay, I want to do everything I can to protect the earth and the finite and the infinite resources. And there's a big difference between the two words. So I've always been wired that route. And anyway, I started an endowment fund for conservation in the mid 90s, and it now has $1.4 million in it. And they spend the interest that's made off of it in order to protect habitat for wildlife. So I've always been wired this route. And so when I was in Stanley, North Dakota, and the wind is blowing, my favorite line for North Dakota is, when the wind blows, there is no place to hide. The stove was blowing through an outlet, and just like that, I thought of the Tstud. Don't ask me how one went to the other one. I couldn't tell you, but I thought, I've seen other products in the space. There's actually 32 patents in the space, and we're the only one who's different. And that's how we got the patent. And so we now have, I got to be an inventor. I got to be somebody who reads patents, understands patent law. Just because somebody makes a patent, they make somebody else's cup rounder, smoother, taller, something about it, and they get one claim. We have 240 claims, meaning we've said something 240 times before somebody else did. And so we said 9 claims in the US, 9 patents in the US and 4 patents in Canada, 240 claims total. So we took the space. And now we're maturing as individuals and as a company to go to the next phase, whatever the next phase brings.
How long have you all been making this?
Since 2017. And then in 2017, I figured out I didn't have all the patent. So I went back to the drawing board and I wrote a continuation in process. And I filed the second one, and the second one's got 21 claims. First one had 9. Second one must have 23. I have 32 in all in the first 2. And then I boxed everybody out. So we went under the radar till 18.
Okay. So, and you came out with the big bang in 2018, and suddenly it was like, whoa, there's a new product out in the market, and everyone was curious about it.
Yeah, and builders are absolutely allergic to change. Allergic. They're not even, it's like they're scared to death. They just got no time for it. But now that we see a little dip in the economy going like this, right? Now we see builders stepping out and going like, uh-oh, I got to make a difference. I gotta step up my game.
I gotta be different than my competitors.
I gotta separate myself. Yep.
So talking about builders that try to separate themselves, let's talk a little bit more about alternatives. So I told the people, my YouTube community, that I was going to be speaking with you, and I asked them for some questions. And a couple of them were asking about cheaper alternatives that are out in the market that do also solve the problem of thermal bridging. So some of them use a strip on the outside of the stud to prevent thermal bridging. And then when I was in Switzerland a couple of weeks ago, I saw another version of wood studs where they used recycled foam. It basically looked like carpet underlayment, but recycled foam in between 2 studs. How did you come up with this system with dowels shot in at angles with pretty significant gap in between the 2 studs? And like you said, it's very, very different than your competitors. But did you do product research into all the other options available in the market, or you just had this brainwave and said, this is the ideal way to solve thermal bridging?
Okay. I have all the original reiterations up on the shelves here. I have them for samples, and they all failed. We started out with nails. We went to screws. I have Black & Decker DeWalt made me custom made nails that are ring shanked here, ring shanked there, not ring shanked in the middle. Huge ring shanks. I don't know how much money they probably spent $10,000 to make 300 nails for me. And in our very first try, they failed. We went to aggressive screws, they failed. We went to plastic, we went to this, we went to that. I tried to avoid the dowel until I couldn't avoid the dowel anymore. I was forced to have to use it. And then the dowel became important. Okay, so all that Tstud is a bar joist on a roof. That's all it is. It's just a bar joist. Okay, and so because I've designed so many places, I knew kind of how a bar joist for a roof worked. So I had to have the W shapes, but how often, how close could you be to the edge? How big is the dowel? How small could you make the dowel? I mean, like we went through everything. I had to learn long grain versus short grain versus open grain versus closed grain of wood species. Oak dowels work wonderful because they're an open grain and you can make them smooth and the adhesive just grabs a hold of it like this and doesn't let go. But an oak dowel is 3 times the cost, times 2. It's a lot of money per foot. And so just so I can get this one out there, I did make a post the other day that on 200 feet of wall today, the Tstud, that what you got in front of you with blown in cellulose in it, is roughly $1,000 more money than using a 2x6 with an R19 bat. That's all that we are. That's all that we are. That's all that we've ever been. We just didn't want to put all the story out there until I had more equipment coming. Now I know I have 2 pieces of equipment coming and we can quadruple our output. Okay, so now I'm willing to start telling the truth.
That's awesome. So now, all these dowels are manually shot in at angles?
We used to. Little air hammer. Brrr, we used to put them all in. All of our prototypes, we dip them into glue. Yeah. Now we drill 2 holes, glue 2 holes, dowel 2 holes, and the dowel sticks out. We just knock that off. So we do 2 feet every 17 seconds now.
That's awesome. And you're getting to even more automation. Is that what the 2 machines that you're talking about? Okay, so nobody's ever made a Tstud before. So we know how to go 230 feet a minute. If we had 48 foot long 2x3 and 2x4s, if they're all 48 feet long, all finger joint, we could make a 48 footer in 19 seconds. That's awesome.
But we have to invent technology to get there. Yeah. Like whoever has to make $1 million a day. We're about to have to make $1 million a day. So I had to create all of the equipment to make $1 million a day. Today we make $12,000 an hour.
Okay. At your factory.
$12,000 an hour. Yes. So
and
we know how to go fast.
Where do y'all make these? Because y'all were based in Canada for a while, but y'all have now moved to the States.
Yep, Newton, Iowa. We're in the old Maytag facility. So when HAFTA came in, and I think it was in the 80s, HAFTA came in the 80s. They allowed major manufacturing companies to move out into other countries. Newton, Iowa lost 15,000 jobs over a 3-year period of time. And then the building sat there forever. And so we have 80,000 feet there. I think it's 80,000 out of 2.8 million feet.
Oh my gosh. So they've divided up the space and given it to different companies. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool. So are you all going to be expanding your facility as I'm sure demand is through the roof, as demand continues to grow and you all continue to produce more Tstuds? Yeah. Well, we have a good supply chain on lumber. We have a good supply chain on adhesives, and we make all of our own dowels. We don't buy them from anybody. They're within thousands of an inch, not going in. So what has the reception from the community been like? Because like you said earlier, builders are allergic to change, but from Matt Reisinger's video from a couple of years ago, and then the video that I made, there seems to be a lot of genuine interest in this product, and it seems like you can't stock it fast enough. Why? So if the builders are adopting it so easily, why do you think they're so accepting of it? Is it something they're familiar with? No, they are not accepting of it. Oh, you don't think they are? No, some are. So once they got it figured out, we have repeat customers all the time. Okay, because
Okay, so once they get it figured out, like sometimes they have to make two cuts when you're trying to go around a window. And how do you go around a window when you have something that's an L shape? So you have to think. Most carpenters don't want to have to think; they just want to go do. Okay, so sometimes you have to make a double cut. Okay, we've minimized how often that they have to do that, but we now have builders who use this for the bottom plate and the top plate itself. Okay, I mean they're taking the story. We have 6 builders out there right now that have watched every video that I have done. We have walls 24 feet tall. We have the engineering dynamics are incredible. But let's go to what people say. Okay, nobody hears the kids scream next door. Nobody hears the neighbors mowing their lawn. So it's not just the thermal break. The equal value is it's a sound break because we minimize the vibration coming through the wall itself. So we have a dual purpose, and we have houses on railroad tracks. I'm not going to say they don't hear the train, but they literally it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun to get the feedback from people after they've lived in the structures. I can utility bills that are so we're a stud. The performance of the overall wall or the roof or the floor, the foundation, however they're using it, is we give the main ingredient. We're the main ingredient. We're a stud, right? We're a force to reckon with. Nobody can beat our strength, and LVL stud can't beat the strength. But then it all comes down to how much money you want to spend to insulate it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to use blown-in cellulose? Depends upon how you believe. Do you want blown-in cellulose? Do you want blown-in fiberglass? We have one house done with sheet wool, 2 houses with sheet wool. So, or do you want to do closed cell spray foam? There are a couple that have done open cell spray foam, but I'll say 50% do closed cell spray foam because they want to get the R value as high as they can, because they want to get rid of the traditional furnace, the traditional air conditioner, and we're a small cost in the middle, but we can make the wall, the floor, and the roof so energy efficient that we have downstream advantages in that we cut the HVAC system cost in half, which then gives us upstream advantages, meaning that the owner or the occupant has reduced utility bills for the life of the structure and no maintenance required. We have no maintenance. So, okay. That was an advertisement.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no, not at all. No, we want to know about the performance of these building units. But y'all were actually making an insulated version of this a couple of years ago. And when I released my video, some people asked about that. They said, why don't you all have that anymore? Why do you just have the bare naked version of the Tstud?
This is a big version of the Tstud. This is an R value of 28. Don't think that we're gonna make this, okay? But this is an R28. Just happened to be the one I had. So what's interesting is people have always asked, why did you go away from the R19 with the foam in it to the bare naked? And what people don't realize is that Austin, Texas froze in 2021. Honeywell has a plant there that they make the HFO blowing agent, right? We used to be HFC, hydrofluorocarbon, global warming potential 900 to 1300. Now we have HFO, global warming potential of 3. Their plant had 7 vats in it and 5 froze solid and broke. Okay. So they have had nothing but trouble getting that thing back online. Nothing but trouble. I think instead of having 2 vats going, I think today they have 5. The supply chain is completely screwed up. And so we said, that fast overnight, we're going to make a bare naked version. And because we lost our supply chain, everybody lost their supply chains. Everybody lost their supply chains through the pandemic when we slammed shut the border, right? Yeah. I got it's not like I don't believe in COVID, okay, because I absolutely do. I'm just not a fan and I'm not a friend when you shut down commerce at the border. It was brutal. I mean, we lost our
because you lost your factory in Canada and you had to relocate and start from scratch here in the States. And that's really tough for an up and coming business that has a solid product.
Yep.
Has invested everything they can into it. It's a shame. But I'm glad that you got the new facility up and running.
Yep, so are we.
Yeah.
And I believe that sometime at the end of the day, another semi-load is going to Canada. We have a semi-load in that just went to Montana, distribution there. We're going to have distribution in Indiana pretty soon and Maryland pretty soon. And so our distribution hubs are showing up now as our supply grows. We are reaching out to certain individuals who put their hand up and say, okay, I wanna join in the fun. I wanna separate what you're doing, or I want to be part of what you're doing.
I'm sorry. Are you thinking of expanding your product line? Because someone in the comments asked if you are going to make a 2x8 or a 2x10 version of the Tstud.
Okay, this is the 2x8, 7.25. So half of our sales are the 7.25.
Wow.
Half of them. Yes, they want energy efficiency. So the people that use this are the SIPS panel people. They want a SIPS panel replacement, or they want an ICF without having to have the concrete. They want to look of a more traditional house. And so this is actually a floor and a roof member now. Okay, we qualified for that, which was fun.
In a sarcastic way. Was that a sarcastic comment?
No, because we tried to do it a number of different ways. We tried. I don't have a 10.25 here. I have a 10.25, and I have a 9.25 and an 11.25 version. Okay. I have a 13.25 version to replace a 2x14. Whoa. But the dowel length gets to be too long. And by the time we buy a bigger member, a 2x6, it's easier to take this one and to nail this one next to it, kind of like this. It's cheaper, easier, faster to do this. And then in design principles, what happens is we have tension at the top and compression at the bottom, and one fights the other one, and we ended up with a significantly stronger product. Engineering people ask me all the time, well, how'd you come up with the science of this whole entire thing? And I said, no, you don't come up with the science first. You have to start with theories. You have to start with theories first, and then you have to go prove the theories in order to create a science. We now have a science, and now we make these every day. We take people off the street, they go in to go to work, the machine does all the work for them. They got to know what to look for, and we make them. The new machines will make 3 products out of 2x3s or 2x4s with a 5-minute change out. It's just the people that we have on the technical side that make the machines. Mm-hmm. These people are over the top. When the new machine shows up, I'm going to have PTSD. As soon as they get glue on that thing, I don't even want to show up. I don't want to show up. Yeah, $1 million, and they're going to get glue on it.
Yo.
Yeah.
So let's talk cost, because everyone wants to know how much these units cost.
Yeah.
Are they cost competitive? I mean, they're far better in quality than traditional studs. The studs that you can find at your local hardware store, the studs that most suburban homes are being built with. So obviously they are more expensive than traditional studs, but what could you compare them to?
Okay. So people buy these all the time, right? 24% of your exterior is solid lumber. That's why, so I say you have to oversize your HVAC equipment by 24%, because you have 24% bridges to the outside. So it's all oversized. It's completely inefficient, and they can't make it efficient because you have the bridge over troubled waters. Do you want me to sing it?
No.
Say no. Just say no. Okay.
Maybe after the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, no. So we unhooked all those bridges. So we gave the ability of the HVAC equipment to be able to work the way it was meant to be. Okay. Yeah. So we don't compare to a 2x6 or a 2x4. Okay. So you see this? Mm-hmm. This is a sandwich, OSB and foam. This, when you glue the two together today, that is $91 a sheet. $91 a sheet. So okay. 200 feet of wall, it costs over $4,000 extra to do that versus us. So if let's say that you're only trying to make the energy code only. That's all I want to do. I want to, if you're in one of the 11 states in the country who now, if you have to do prescriptive path and you got to put foam on the outside, you're going to write a check out for more than $4,000 more for that than us just to make code.
No,
So we're $1,000 extra. It only costs 25 cents a square foot extra I have 3 prices across the country, so I know hopefully some insulated contractor doesn't get mad because I rattle off a number. So 25 cents extra a square foot to do blown in cellulose versus push a R19 bat on the wall.
Okay.
Or you can do a blown in fiberglass, and that's 35 cents more a square foot. So that's all it is. So how much is the stud? We're twice. We float with the market like this. We have a 2-step distributor. I believe that by the time we sell to them and they get into the hands of the marketplace, they're in the $3.25 a foot range. So we're about the same as a LVL stud, but we're twice. We have more attributes than an LVL stud. Okay, we don't compare to them, but that's about how we price out in the country. But we ship to builders all the time. Distribution is screwed up in the country. No lumber company has room for 42 SKUs. So somebody might be able to buy studs today for I'm going to say $2.80 a foot to $3.10, depending upon where they're at. With trucking costs. We're literally gonna have studs landed in. We have studs landed in Amarillo, Texas, and Montana today. Both places bought studs, and they immediately sold out of all of them, so they have to put in more orders. Bummer for me. We'll be in Indiana soon. We'll be in Maryland soon. We'll be in a couple of other places. I believe we'll be landed in 2 places in Canada in a month. So I'm trying to get over by Toronto, and I'm trying to get over by Vancouver as fast as we can. So we have 2 very friendly people that want to make a difference in the world, and they want to separate what they do. They want to enhance what they do, and they like us. So if they're going to touch us, they might as well sell it. Yeah. So, yeah.
So a lot of people have been talking about passive house recently, and it's just people are becoming more and more aware of the energy consumption of their home and how inefficiency of their home, and this massive influx that we're seeing from the government in the infrastructure of the country, and even in the construction industry too, is going to raise awareness of the passive house in the construction industry, both in the residential sector and the commercial sector. What role do you think Tstud can play in this new stage of construction, energy efficient homes?
Yep, that's really simple. We're the frame, right? So we're just one component. We're one component of the whole. Okay, so we won't talk. So we are vertically integrating into other companies today, which that's not the thrust of the podcast. Okay, so we're bringing solutions that'll help every single builder meet not just the one section of 45L. The problem, I'm just going to put this out there right now. The problem with the 45L and the energy efficiency program is the $2,500 rebate. It costs the builder $800 to get the 25, but the money goes to the builder. The money does not go to you, the consumer. You don't get the money. The money goes to the builder. If somebody wants to correct me on this, if somebody wants to correct me on this right now, they can. Okay, but I don't think it goes to the buyer. I literally don't.
But it costs them $800. They get a $2,500 rebate. The builder does, but not the consumer.
Yeah. Somebody, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. I don't. Yeah.
That is tricky, because when it comes to rebates on solar panels or something, people can slap them on to their building after it's constructed. So the consumer sees that direct return. But when it comes to the construction of a building, you're kind of at the mercy of the builder. So how do you control? How do you pass on those kind of rebates to the consumer?
So I got a better idea. They actually did something good in this bill. I'm not a fan of taxes. Like, anyway, okay, so there's another section in this thing that is a $5,000 rebate. 5,000. Okay, let's just get up tomorrow morning and let's say I want the 5,000. If it costs me 800 to make 5,000, I'm in. Right? Let's just do that. And guess what? That's no more difficult than applying for the 25. There's nothing extra, but you have to start out from the frame.
Yeah.
So if you start out from the frame, there's certain metrics that you have to meet, and we know how to meet those metrics. Like almost every single structure that's made with the Tstud is performing, and almost every single one, I can just about guarantee you qualifies or will qualify for the 5,000. So let's figure out assemblies that qualify for the 5,000. Skip the 2,500. It's not worth doing.
So let's talk more about those assemblies. So right now, y'all are selling these just as individual units, individual studs. Do you have plans to sell them as assemblies?
Yeah, we make wall panels today as well. Okay, and then we're working on some equipment to be able to do the floor and the roof modules themselves. Okay, so
these are like fully insulated wall panels.
Yep, all done. Yep, all done.
Are they custom sized depending on the client's orders?
Yep, yep, yep. So so there's two companies. Century Building Innovations is kind of the Sears and Roebuck of the 1920s, 30s, 40s, right? Where they sold kits, right? So Century Building Innovations will sell kits, and they will sell them pre-insulated or not, depending upon if you like foam or not. I'm a proponent of foam because you can't get to net zero unless you either build a 12-inch thick wall full of fiberglass, or you're going to have to stick some foam in the wall. Okay, the global warming potential of the foam is 3. That's it. So if you don't want to use foam, that's not my problem.
I kind of have a similar attitude to foam because I've talked to people in the foam industry and they get so much hate, so much. But when you talk to them and you realize how much innovation goes on there, they are constantly trying to make a more eco-friendly version of closed and open cell foam. And I feel like they just don't get enough credit for that.
Okay, so type 1, I don't know of any manufacturer of the foam attached to the OSB. I don't know of anybody who actually commercially makes one that has a type 1 foam. I think they're all type 2. In fact, I'm not sure of any of them. So you might want to do a little research on this because I've watched most of your podcasts. I'm not sure how many of them are actually using the HFO blowing agent in their process either.
Oh. You think they're using HFCs?
HFC, yeah.
That's not what I've been told. When I visited a spray foam factory, they told me that
this factory?
No, closed and open cells spray foam. Okay, you're talking about XPS. Okay.
Yep, that's right. Right. So when you stick that foam onto a sheet of OSB, I believe that's a HFC, and I believe, and I know that this piece right here is 12 by 12. I can burn that up in 2.2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the foam that we use, this right here, you can take out your torch. I'm going to dinner. You handle the torch, because when I get home from dinner, you're still going to be sitting there. Right. It don't burn. It don't burn.
Wow.
Yep.
Whew.
So, but I can make walls so strong with the closed cell foam in them that I actually don't need the OSB anymore to solve for racking strength. That's how strong the foam is, right? So if you just look at a Yeti cooler, let's just build houses that are energy efficient like a Yeti cooler, but to do it on steroids, right? So even a Yeti cooler, the inside of the Yeti cooler will end up being the same ambient temperature on the outside. It's just how long will it take to melt the ice? Is that 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Sooner or later, unless you give it a little energy, it will end up being the same temperature in and out. Okay. Now the question comes in is how much energy? Okay, so the structures that we're going to do, so Century Building Innovations, they'll do kits. Innovated structures, on the other hand, will sell finished modulars, manufactured modular houses, all in, all done, fully furnished. They'll be net zero energy, ready houses that will all qualify for the $5,000 rebate. And so you have to have your HERS score rating done. So we're talking HERS score rating somewhere around 40 is what these structures will be if you follow what HERS scores does.
When will these panels be ready?
We actually have to build a manufacturing plant to do the fully finished modules. So that's why Century Building Innovations, once we get somebody's plan in, we'll ship the wall panels as fast as we can to somebody, and then they can erect them as a kit. But it's going to take us a year to go build a building in order to do the full modulars, because our facility is unlike somebody else's facility.
Yeah.
So we'll make announcements over the next month on kind of what we're looking at and how those walls, floors, and roofs will be put together. But they will be the most energy efficient structures made from anybody today.
So let's tie this in with the last question from the community. How can the Tstud create a positive impact to the affordable housing and environmental issues?
Hold on. That's a mouthful. We don't have an hour. Okay.
So you did touch on environmental issues already, but let's talk about affordability and the housing crisis. Are you all trying to enter that industry of the affordable housing industry, or it's just
innovative structures will enter that space, but
and you'll be using the Tstud in that space as well?
Yeah. We have no choice. We're the frame. We have to have the frame in order to have the end solution. So we know exactly what we have to do. We know exactly what the metrics are to reduce the BTU consumption by 50%, and we know what it takes to be at 80% reduction. What we don't know is how often you're going to open the door.
Yeah,
that's what we don't know, right? Because if the door stays shut all the time, we all know what it's going to take to maintain it. But if you go in and out the door 40 times in a day, okay, we have to account for that via energy.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's structure is going to be a little bit different depending upon the occupants or how many geriatric cats you have. So we are going to enter into that space. In order to be affordable, you can't afford to buy somebody's air-to-air exchanger for $750 when you know darn well it only costs $150 to make. There's like 10 different of those solutions inside the structure. So we're just going to have to make some different ones.
You're going to invent everything that goes into the house.
I don't really care. I'm already going down this lane. I might as well just make them all, right? And the number one thing for this is warranty programs. I can't believe how slippery of a slope some companies' warranty programs are.
They're just a joke.
I don't want to call them a joke. Okay. Because I do not. But whatever happened to like a limited lifetime warranty, right? There's going to be right. That's how everything used to be, right?
Yeah.
They put a bunch of disclaimers in there and stuff, but where did the quality go?
Yeah.
Just where did the quality go? So let's say we're going to make something, but it has to last 100 years. Or, 100 years might be, our wall assemblies last 100 years because walls and floors and roofs, because there's no maintenance required. There's nothing to do, right? But when you get to the operating, the mechanicals, how can we make the mechanicals? My furnace went out because some stupid little module went out, and I had to replace the whole bloody thing. $7,500 later, I was irritated just for a module.
It's frustrating, and that goes back to planned obsolescence, where parts are intentionally made to be soldered on so they can't be replaced, and you have to just replace the entire unit.
Yeah.
When one tiny little part fails.
Yeah.
That's all planned obsolescence.
Heat pumps. When they first 15 years ago, they came out with some great big rebate programs. You got a full-blown $15,000 rebate, whatever they were. A couple of those manufacturers went out of business because their heat pumps were failing.
Oh,
They just
wow.
went out of business. So I got a friend there, his heat pump just went out 10 years later. It's $10,000 for a new one. So what's his return on investment? Nothing. He should have never have done anything. Nothing. He shouldn't have done anything. So let's make structures so energy efficient where we force the solar panel companies, we force the wind companies, we force the every other mechanical system to be performing. But if we can make the structure so energy efficient that those mechanical sides don't run anywhere near as often, then they can make their units differently and make them more efficiently to operate less often. And yet we make cleaner, healthier environments to live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Ooh, that's a good way to end the podcast. That's
Yeah.
an ambitious goal, but it's doable. It absolutely is doable. It just takes
This is
people to be,
2022. Hello,
yeah,
we're here.
we
Let's
just
just go
have to
make it happen.
build
Let's just
more
go make it happen.
responsibly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I hope I lit a fire underneath you because I
you
got
did.
one today. Yep.
Every time I talk to you, it seems like there is a fire lit under you. You're always, always going, like, what's the next thing I can do? What's the next thing I can innovate? How can I rethink the entire construction industry? It's
Okay. Okay. I know that you want to know what's on that board right over there. I know that. You have to wait a few weeks.
okay. All
Okay.
right.
So affordable housing is coming and net zero energy ready housing, affordable housing is coming. But you have to break every single metric to pull it off. Every single one. Nothing can be left to chance. And so you're forced to look at every assembly as a whole in order to pull it off.
Yeah.
But this is I get to use products from 2022, not from OSB was created in 1984, right?
Yeah.
So what can we do when prices are going like this? What can we do to maybe eliminate some of those and to make smarter, better assemblies as a whole in order to save on labor? Other than Texas, I don't know how many extra people are running around looking for jobs,
Yeah.
right, in the construction industry.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, you can get 8 bids on a house. I don't know of any place else in the country. So let's try to make systems easier for people to work with. So it's offsite is coming. Get people working inside of plants. Give them a nice working environment to work in, and treat them more than fair, and give them their perks that they deserve to have. And let's ship out here, let's just start everybody as a whole. Put your conservation hat on, your ecology hat on, and let's make environments. A lot of people spend indoors 90% of their time.
Yes. Make
So
them healthier.
let's make them all healthier. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brian, for sharing all that information with us. And I'm going to be looking out for some exciting news coming from your Tstud company soon, maybe.
Well, I was working on a press release here before, so
Okay.
I need 2 weeks.
All right. I'll keep an eye out
Yep.
for it. Thank
All
you,
right, sounds
Brian.
good. You bet.